5 years or so. It started out as just a small company. This guy Alex started out of his house. He worked for LLB and then started like dyeing T-shirts in his house and like screen printing in his garage. And like eventually he needed help doing that, so I came in and we just kind of built this brand based on like our love for kind of our region, like New England and its history. Just kind of evolved all these ideas and things we were interested in into this brand. So it was never really even the itch to strike out on my own. It was more just kind of happened by coincidence. Like I happened to have a month off just about a year ago, and my friend Ned, who's the other part of One Trip Pass, was like, come to California, you know, I'm like hanging out here. He was at Men's Vogue in between jobs, and he's just traveling around. And I had just watched Fishing with John Murray, like his old like funny fishing show. I think it was on like Independent Film Channel or something, where he takes out like people like Tom Waits, Jim Jarmusch, and all these like strange characters that he knows from his being an actor, and takes them out fishing random places, you know. And there's just this cool like element to that of like these dudes just hanging out, not necessarily like fishing experts, but just like it's more about these guys and they interact. So I had this idea of going out there, like, you know, how are we gonna keep busy? What are we gonna do while we're hanging out in California?
Right.
I was like, why don't we, you know, 'cause he's a writer, he's like, why don't we do a vintage story, like two guys traveling across the country, finding like great vintage, and like he can write about it, you know.
Talking higher, don't ever be seen.
Idea kind of quickly turned into like, what the hell are we gonna do with all this stuff we're accumulating and all this vintage? And it's like we had this small sports car that we bought out in LA from an old friend of mine who's getting rid of it.
I'm sorry?
We went to my friend, artist Jack Pearson's house in the desert in Wonder Valley near 29 Palms, California. And like his house was really amazing, and we were just blown away by this weird collection of like art and junk in the region, and like this weird cross section between where like there's like that region where like rock climbers live, and like there's like a military base, and there's like old like carnage like bikers living out there. And it's just this weird intersection of these different like groups of people, and we just decided to kind of like, you know, we formulated this idea of like what that region looked like in the summer of 1976, the bicentennial. We kind of floated along this storyline of like what was happening the parallels to last winter, when there was like, you know, it was a recession, and it was like that was what everybody's mind, everybody's talking about that, but at the same time there's this renewed sense of like patriotism, you know, like new administration and like trends in menswear and shit. So kind of tie those two lines. So we came up with this concept. We just thought like high desert. What does the high desert look like in '76? So we bought on that very specific theme, accumulated a bunch of junk of that era, drove cross country, and eventually ended up opening this pop-up shop with Billy Reed for a couple of weeks.